a comparison?
Oh my goodness, man! Like, yo, I'm better. I'd like
Are
to
people?
think.
I've yet to hear
Oh
this.
man, can we kill the Shannon Sharp logic?
You said you look like Shannon Sharp.
I'm like, no, I don't.
Like, I wouldn't mind looking like Shannon Sharp. Like,
Wait.
the rest of Shannon Sharp.
And he's a good-looking dude too. But come on, man, chill out on the Shannon Sharp logic. I'm straight.
Oh, Jay, you got to fill us in though. What started this first?
I don't know.
Like, what are people saying?
Shannon Sharp wannabe. You look like Shannon Sharp.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp wannabe.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp wannabe. Look like Shannon. I'm like thinking to myself, wait a minute. First of all, I don't look like the dude. I don't think I do, at least.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so neither.
I mean, but it's good. I mean, the thing about Shannon is he has like good vibes. He's outspoken.
Yeah, he's dope,
so
though.
in that sense, like the way you present yourself is, I could see that aspect, but the look-alike thing is kind of, who knows? The internet is a wild, wild place.
It's a super wild place.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Everybody in the chat, welcome. I'm gonna pull it up now actually, so you can see who's all here. Zay said OG
Travis
is kind of
Weems
built
is
like
here.
Jack and-
Jillian is here.
Yep.
Jillian, dear. Hello, dear.
Something Wong is here. Beefa Boy, Kevin Harris, Liam, Zay. Chat's loading up.
Got a crew.
I think Shannon Sharp is great, so not a bad thing.
Oh, he's dope. No doubt
That's
about
from Jillian, just so you know.
Oh, yeah.
He's dope. Shannon Sharp is dope. No doubt about that.
Yeah. Now Skip, on the other hand, is another conversation. He's a certain cup of tea that isn't everybody's favorite, but he has his moments for sure. Okay, before we jump into Fluent's segment, where we always get more fluent, I do want to touch on the big news. Fluent, you probably heard, of course, Patrick Beverley. So real quick, I want to dive into that, pick that apart. Is it going to be a pro or con? And how did this even happen? Fluent, you go ahead, since it is your Lakers. How are you feeling about that trade?
Listen, Patrick Beverley is a better leader than anyone that they have on the team from a kind of, he's like a vocal Marcus Smart, right? You know, Marcus Smart, they need him on the Celtics to be that kind of agitator kind of guy, someone who maybe shouldn't always talk so much, but will call out the superstar players when, you know, maybe they miss an assignment or, you know, taking an extra step to get back. So yeah. I think that's part of it. They need a guy like that. Like it was Rondo during the title run a couple years back. They needed someone. And listen, he spoke it into existence. This LeVar Ball methodology of saying something until it comes true, it's starting to work, because if you remember, I don't know how long ago it was, but he said, if I was in LA, they'd be in the Western Conference Finals. Why? Because I would have been like, yo, LeBron, you missed that assignment. You need to be down here on the X. That's not your, thing to double team over here. Like, he said it. And so maybe they sat there going, we need a kind of guy. We need a guy like that. Who are we going to get? And the options are slim. It's not like they have a lot of trade capital that they want to give up. They're not going to give up LeBron or AD. No one wants Westbrook. Hey, it made sense. Does it make them a better team? Well, if Patrick Beverley, LeBron James, and Russ don't kill each other, it makes them a better team. If they don't kill each other.
I think that we in a different place when Patrick Beverley getting traded to the Lakers is a big deal. I think we in a big spot in the NBA offseason when Patrick Beverley, we talking about him getting traded to the Lakers. However, if Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan can both sit in a room and shake hands and say, yo, we can figure this out. Whatever the issue is between Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook, we could get to the bottom of it. I have 3 rules, and I've always felt like this more than anything. Do I owe you any money? No. Do you owe me any money? No. Do I want your job? No. Do you want my job? No. Are you sleeping with somebody that I'm sleeping with? No. Vice versa? No. Then we can figure it out. I think we're good. So I think this situation with Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook and all of these guys, I think this thing could absolutely get figured out. Patrick Beverley is what you call a pest. And he doesn't work for what's going on in Utah. Utah is not a destination city. Utah is a city. No,
you say Patrick Beverley doesn't fit? Patrick Beverley doesn't fit in Utah.
No, Utah is not a destination city.
No.
So
You went to school there, didn't you?
I did go to school in Utah. Now, mind you, I went to school in Utah a long time ago too, by the way. It's not like it is today. It was a lot different from when I went to school there. So with that being said, Salt Lake City is not a destination city. So Danny Ainge is doing what he did in Boston, just like with the Celtics. He's going to have to build this thing through the draft. Well, a 33-year-old Patrick Beverley doesn't work with what they're trying to do in the future. And if we can get anything that could help us advance that, then we will. Absolutely. So does Patrick Beverley work with the Lakers? Absolutely they do, Tone. How terrible was your perimeter defense last year? I think you were at the bottom of the league in almost everything defensive.
Every defensive thing we were
everything in the league defensively, you were at the bottom of the league, including perimeter defense, transition defense. And I think Patrick Beverley is going to help that. Now, is him and Russ, might it be rocky initially? I don't think so. And the reason why is because in order for this to work, we got to get in the room and we got to sit down and we got to have a conversation. And I think as pros, we could get to the bottom of that. And I think he's going to help you guys. And I think he's respected enough that James will listen to him. Anthony Davis will listen to him because he's going to do his job. And he brings what he brings every day. And that just garners the respect of the vets. So yeah, I see this. I don't see this being a problem eventually. I eventually see this thing working out.
Okay. So, Fluent, do you feel as though this trade not only heightens the roster to some level, but do you see this being the roster that's going to finish out all of next season, especially Russ? I guess this is mostly surrounding Russ. Is Russ staying, or is this almost a sign of him possibly leaving? I mean, it's hard to know, but
it's hard to know for sure. I don't see this being the final roster, if that's what you're asking. I think there's some tweaks to do. I think it would be naive of us to believe that they're not actively trying to get rid of Russ, or I shouldn't say get rid of Russ, but move on from Russ. There's not a lot of takers.
Here's the thing though, Tone. I'm glad you mentioned that because we get in the same situation that we in with Kevin Durant. Are you telling me that the Lakers at no point did they have a phone call with somebody and said, yo, we'll take Russ off your hands? Nobody. That didn't happen with anybody at all this summer?
I think the conversation was had. The problem is, how do you match it? Like he was making, I think he either now with the new extension with James, but before James, he was making more money than LeBron. Yeah. So how can you give enough salaries back to match that? And then what kind of bad salary are you taking to match that? So there might have been some guys who said, yeah, here. And they're like, I ain't taking that. You know, it might be $20 million for me. Right now, I'm not paying $20 million for him. So, you know.
But the good thing about Russ, though, Tone, is that Russ is on the final year of his deal, which teams love that. An expiring
and the closer it gets to the season or maybe the deadline. That's why I say I don't think he's going to be. Teams will be like, ooh, $44 million off the books. I'll take that. Mm-hmm. So
I think I think that expiring contracts, teams love expiring contracts because now what that does is that opens up more money later on for them. Plus, it's a contract that's it's less difficult to move at the trade deadline. So I'm just having to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, well, let me ask you a question though. If you're the Lakers and you know what your roster looks like, okay, and you have $44 million coming off the books or $40 million or however much it is going to be.
Russ was on the books. Russ is going to be on the books this season for $47 million.
40, but I think the cap later on. Let's call it $40 million just to make it easy.
Okay.
Do you want to take on $40 million that's not coming off, or are you going to be like, you know what? Let's see. Let's give it another year. And then we have that money to play with next offseason. So that might be another piece because now that's a tradable piece to get in another max player. Like if, to trade that expiring contract, or now we have that money to sign another, maybe not max, but another big name player.
Well, here's the thing though, Tone, you're going to lose him anyway at the end of the season because you're probably going to move on from him. So because you're going to move on from him, I at least should get something back. Now, if I can get some young pieces from Charlotte, or if I could get some young pieces from Indiana to continue to build my unit, I'm all for that as opposed to going through what you went through last season and having to pay Russ, I don't think that the Lakers are interested in doing that. I doubt very seriously that they're interested in doing that. And to go back to what I was just talking about, I'm just having a difficult time, Tone, believing that this entire summer, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving did not affect their trade aspects that much. I'm sure that there were other teams that picked up the telephone and said, how do you feel about Russ? Because at the end of the day, Tone, he's still 18, 9, and 8.
Oh, I know. In a bad year, he's still better than most players in the league.
Right.
So Haley, Jay, you who could the Lakers realistically get for Russ? What's the deal that's realistic? I don't see one, which is why I think they're just going to run it for this. I don't want to say run it back because they obviously run it back. But who's trading for Russ?
The one trade that
who's the team that's trading for Russ?
Well, the one deal that I really dug was him going to Charlotte and handing over Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward. I'm loving that deal. Number one, I get Russ off my books. Number two, I get a younger guy in Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward, who those contracts and those players are easier. They're less difficult to move, Tone, because I don't have to move them as a package. I can move Terry Rozier here and then move Gordon Hayward, who, when he's healthy, he's still one of the better players in the league. And remember, too, Tone, Russell Westbrook is on the Jordan brand, and Jordan is about selling tickets. Now, would that screw up the dynamic in Charlotte with Melo Ball?
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll screw it up because we know that Russ needs the ball. We know that Lonzo needs the ball. But I know what it will do is it will sell tickets.
The rumor, I guess, or what you heard or what you liked. I don't know if this was an actual thing, because that's $51 million in cap that they're bringing back. So they're going to give up $47 million in Russ for 51 in injury-prone who can't finish the season, Gordon Hayward, and Terry Rozier, scary Terry, who probably got paid way too much. I don't know how many more years they have left on their contracts, but would you do that if you're the Lakers? Because you're still giving up the best player in this scenario.
I am, and what I'm also giving up is not only am I giving up the best player, I'm giving up the best player who's got less upside. Like, we've seen the best of Russ. It's not like I'm giving up Russ and then in another 4 years we're going to get more. No, we've seen the best of who Russ is. Add that to the fact that I can maybe move Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is not 30 years old yet, so I can move Terry Rozier and maybe get some of my draft picks back. And add that to the fact that with Gordon Hayward on this unit, his role is not going to be what it was in Charlotte, where he had to do nearly as much. And because he didn't have to do nearly as much, I think he'd be a lot more effective, and we could use him more.
Okay, so you want to make a trade. Russ goes to the Hornets. Game-to-game Hayward joins day-to-day Davis. I don't know that I like that.
So you're going to eat those words, too, about Anthony Davis. You are going to
I can't. It's already been proven to be true. If he changes it, cool, but it's the truth right now.
You're going to eat those words, Tone. And the reason why you're going to eat those... Go ahead. I'm sorry, Haley.
Well, Jade, do you really think you're going to have more than maybe 2 to 3 consistent seasons from AD, or do you think it's like there's no longevity that you can see with him? I can't. Just with his body.
So with that all being said, how many more years am I getting out of James? I'm thinking I'm probably going to get 2, maybe 3 more years out of James tops. That's one. So if I could get, in addition to those 2-3 years out of James, if I could get 2 more healthy seasons out of Anthony Davis, what happened to our crew when both Anthony Davis and James were healthy? We're in the NBA Finals. Not where we're in the NBA Finals. We won the NBA championship. So James is still playing at a high level. Anthony Davis is only 28 years old. If I can get 60, 65 games out of him, plus the playoffs, and we could get deep into the playoffs for the next 2 years, plus add James, passing Jabbar, and scoring 40,000 points, and then at the age of 30, in an expiring contract, I move off Anthony Davis, I'm absolutely taking that deal. No question about that. I'm absolutely doing that. And at 30 years old, I could probably get something good for Anthony Davis, especially coming off the season he's coming off. Tone, I'm so surprised at you because we are having 2 years ago, we are having the Anthony Davis Giannis conversation. That's a real conversation we are having.
You were having that.
I was having it. I was.
It was a conversation.
It was a legit. It was a legit conversation. Yeah. We go from that to we're talking about a dude who I don't even know if he can still play. I'm thinking, wait a minute, he was 23.
But do you see why I tell people? Do you see why I tell people wait? Because we were having the Dwight Howard greatest center of all time conversation too. We don't have that anymore. Like that's why I always tell people just slow down. You want to fall in love super quick. And like I always tell people, the faster you fall in love, the faster you fall out of love.
Yeah, relax.
So just take it slow. Take it slow. Okay. Little John Legend for you.
Well, at least you do have defense, some sort of defense heading into next season.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah. At least we know one guy will play defense
last year.
Well, I don't. We'll
the
see.
One guy. He's the whole defense.
Does Patrick Beverley, does he play defense? Because Russ says he just runs around and looks like he's trying, but he's not.
Well, neither of them are going to see the best in each other. So, I mean, and he does. He's just dirty. I mean, like, I like Patrick Beverley for who he is, but I don't like playing against him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. Listen, Patrick Beverley's the kind of guy you want on your team and you don't want to play against. I love guys like that.
Yeah.
Which is why I think this works for the Lakers. I think that, which is exactly why I think this works for the Lakers. Because exactly what you said, Tony, he's going to get those guys. He's going to say what you're afraid to say. And I can say it because I've been in the league for as long as I've been in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, Jay, for you, does this boost them up a seed or two with this new trade, or are they where they were before?
I don't think he makes that much of
a
I don't think he makes that much of a difference in terms of seed. However, I do think that he makes a difference on that crew defensively. And I think that that's going to help them win more games. Well, and with that being said, that may very well boost their seed. So maybe, because I do think that he helps them defensively on the perimeter, which may make them a better team, which in turn may get them a higher seed. I don't know, but that may happen. That may very well happen. Sure.
We shall see. We shall see. Chat, I just want to remind you, I'll definitely write down some of the questions, but if you want us to notice your chat immediately, just send us a super chat and we'll absolutely get to it. Just so you know. But Fluent, if you want to go ahead and enlighten us today.
Well, let me ask you guys. I'm going to start with a question. Today we're going to have rapid fire. Let's get Fluent. But someone told me I should change the name of this first segment.
Emotional damage.
I don't know. I kind of like that name too. But here we go, because I got three things for you. We're gonna just rapid fire all three of them. One, Terrell Owens is 48 years old.
No, Tone. I already know what you're going to ask me. No. I already know what you're going to ask.
I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm going to make you more fluent. Just tell you something.
Okay.
He's 48 years old, and yesterday he ran a 4.38.
Here we go.
He ran a 4.3. Is there another dude that is in better shape that, like, look, I'm not saying sign him and have him play on your team, but at 48 years old to run a 4.38, I'm just saying that's damn impressive. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to leave it at that. What I was going to do was tell you I was right again. But I'm going to make that even short too, because when they drafted Chet Holmgren, I said, watch out, this kid's too skinny. And they were like, Rookie of the Year. And I said, I guarantee you he doesn't win Rookie of the Year. Now, I hate to see people get injured. You know I hate to see people get injured. But he ain't winning Rookie of the Year, so I guess I was right. I hate the way that I am right, but I am. It's interesting too, however, he saw LeBron James coming at him full speed, and all of a sudden, I can't play no more. He might be injured for maybe 2-3 years until LeBron retires. He didn't realize how big and fast that dude was. It's one thing to see him on TV. It's another thing to see him coming at you full speed. I saw fear in that kid's eyes. But what I really want to talk about, and this obviously just happened. And look, it's Aaron Donald. He's the best defensive player in the league. I don't even think it's an argument. People just, hey, it's AD. He's the best player in the league. But you can't be swinging a helmet, even in a practice. I get it. It was Rams and Bengals. If you haven't seen the footage, they got into a couple of fights. They were doing like a practice between teams. They have obviously a preseason game this weekend. And somehow Aaron Donald, whose fist is probably the size of a helmet, had a helmet in his hand and was swinging it and made contact twice to a Bengals player. Now, from the sound of the clank, he hit someone who had a helmet on, but still, that That's an automatic suspension. The fact that they haven't just come out and just suspended like that, just I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, Aaron Donald or not. You have a helmet, and just like with Miles, like with Myles Garrett, and I defended, just so you know, when Myles Garrett hit, he had 2 helmets in his hands. Actually, at one point, when Myles Garrett hit Mason Rudolph, yes. I actually defended Myles Garrett to a point. I said, hey, you can't hit someone with a helmet. But I saw all the stuff that Rudolph did to instigate it. And I was like, hey, like, I get why there was a fight. You can't hit someone with a helmet. So again, it doesn't matter what started it. You cannot use those. They are lethal weapons. Trust me. I've had that fall on my foot. That Bears helmet fell on my toe. It hurts, bro. And I can't imagine Aaron Donald, with as big as strong as he is, whipping it at you full speed and hitting you, whether it hits your helmet or not. They have to suspend him. It has to be severe. It has to be quick, because they cannot allow stuff like that to happen, especially when they have these inter squad or whatever, these practices between teams. You know what? It's actually better. Like, it was better than I think Garrett's was on a Thursday night game that I don't know if anybody was watching because it was Thursday night, but you can't have stuff like that go down.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, Tone, football players, they built a different way and they're wired differently. Now, that's not an excuse, but that's not an excuse. But football players, they're wired differently. Not only are they wired differently, we're talking about a gladiator sport in football, right? So with it being a gladiator sport, there are things that are more acceptable in football than they are in baseball, or they are in basketball, or they are in tennis. You know, golf, that's a gentleman's game. Basketball has been a gentleman's game in the past and even today. So to see a football player,
go too far back in basketball, because people weren't watching it because of all the fights back in the 70s.
Right. But then they did. They toned it. Even with the fighting going on, it's still, we had class guys like Doc in it, and Jordan and guys like that. But with that being said, you have a lot of people who see stuff like what you saw with Aaron Donald, and they applaud that kind of stuff. They see that kind of stuff and they think that it's okay. You know, I like that kind of fire from my players. When in reality, it's not okay in the real world. Even in football, it's not okay, but it's not okay in the real world. But I don't think that this is going to be as severe as you think, Tone. I think that this is going to be something, if he does get suspended, maybe 1 game. I don't think this is going to be like 5 or 6 games. No, I don't think so.
I think 4 makes sense. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like the last 2 times that an incident of this sort has come up, the suspension has been pretty extreme. Like, I feel like the league has tightened down on that. Don't you think?
Now, with that being said,
or is it because it was preseason? It's a bit like a
not only preseason,
but also practice.
It's in practice. This wasn't on Sunday afternoon in front of 55,000 people. This was in practice, in an inter-squad practice, and it kind of got out of hand. Now, if this was on Sunday against the 49ers, he might be looking at a 6 to 7 game suspension. He might be looking at half the season. But it's an inter-squad scrimmage, and
not inter-squad. It was against the Bengals.
Well, not in inter-squad. I'm sorry. This was against the Bengals.
No, I called it an inter-squad too, but it's not. It's a
Now we talking about a scrimmage during practice that kind of got out of control. Where if Aaron Donald was not Aaron Donald, he might have gotten cut for that.
If he was the guy fighting for a roster spot.
Yeah, he might have gotten cut for that. But because it's Aaron Donald and we don't have a history of him doing anything like this, then I don't think it's gonna be as severe as you think, Tom.
Myles Garrett got, I want to say 10 or 12 or
he got a lot.
I get
he was done for the rest. He was done for the rest of the season.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah, I do know that.
So that's why I'm curious. I wonder how long it'll take for them to come out and
I think it'll be fast. Yeah.
I will tell you this, though. The people in the front office in the NFL, we just had to deal with this Deshaun Watson nonsense.
Oh, I know.
I know one thing after.
Man, what is the deal around here? Can you dudes just get it together? We already had to put up with this, and now we have to go immediately from that to this. It's not like Deshaun Watson was 6 months ago. That was last week.
Do you think having practices between 2 teams that met in the Super Bowl that are gonna play again this week. Like, is that a bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. I think it's
Seems
a terrible
like it.
idea, to be quite honest with you. There's no way that the 49ers in 1993, after getting smoked by the Cowboys in the NFC Championship, are not an inner squad, but in a preseason practice with each other. You think Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders are just going to be like, yo, what's up, my man? No, absolutely not. That's not going to work. So whoever came up with that idea, that's a bad idea. Let's scratch that. We're not saying that the Rams can't go get after it against Arizona, or they can't get after it against the Texans, but I don't know about bringing the Bengals out here. I don't know if that's a good idea, because there's still some bad feelings there.
I don't mean to bring up kind of morbid stuff, but I joke. People don't get my sarcasm, and so when I say something that ends up happening, I'll apologize. I don't know. It's the Canadian me to apologize, but like there was something that came out, and they were saying something about, happy birthday to Betty White. And I was like, it's not even her birthday yet. She hasn't even hit that age. I go, you don't know. She might drop dead tomorrow. And like, doesn't she drop dead the next day? And so I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I must have brought that on, right? Bad juju. So here's the thing. So, and then I don't think she ends up making that 100th birthday that they're all trying to celebrate and wishing her happy birthday. Mm-hmm. So just yesterday night, for my betting show, crunching the numbers, I was interviewing I'm gonna forget his name, but Brad from Alloy Sports. So alloysports.com has this app. It's actually really cool. You can get it for free, and like you can custom what stats you want, and like it gives you the list. So you can like, who should I bet on? Let me look at visiting teams, when they play in 30-degree weather and they're a 3-point underdog, and it'll be like, those bets, and they give you all the teams who fit into that scenario, win 70% of the time. And you're like, cool, I'm going to bet on those, right? Like, it's a really cool app. So we're talking about the app, and just for fun, because it's the preseason, I say, hey, don't use the app because the app isn't live until week 1 of the NFL season. They also have it for basketball. We'll talk about that later. But the point of the story is, he says, so one of the games I go, hey, Rams and Bengals, rematch of the Super Bowl, preseason, who you picking? And he goes, oh man, this could be all the backups. It's gonna be so boring. Joe Burrow, had his appendectomy and blah, 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 blah. And I go, really? I think it's going to be a little bit chippy. I think we're going to see a little bit of fire from the Bengals, kind of trying to get their revenge for the Super Bowl.
What do you know?
And you brought it on again.
Next day in practice. And I'm like, is this my fault again? I got to stop. You know what would be terrible? It would be terrible if I won the jackpot in the lottery tomorrow, because who needs $100 million? Who needs $100 million?
There you go.
You know what would suck, Tone? They would suck if the Lakers won the NBA championship.
Careful.
The worst year would be me winning the lottery, Lakers winning the NBA title, and the Bears winning the Super Bowl. I would just
no, never.
Horrible year.
Oh my goodness.
Listening. Okay.
You got powers there. You got to wield them carefully.
Yeah. I got to be careful.
Gotta be careful, Tone. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jay, you posed a question. What's the difference between being an athlete being underrated and underappreciated? And I think that honestly is a really good question. And I think especially on social media, which all three of us are pretty greatly invested in, I think this is a debate that gets misconstrued quite easily. So just off the top of your head, what are kind of the differences between being underrated and underappreciated as an athlete?
Underrated would be a guy who is picked high, who's ranked higher than what he should be. I think who's not picked as high as he should be. That's what I mean when I say underrated. That's overrated. What I just said. I'm sorry. Who's picked high, who's not picked as high as he should be. He's a guy who people don't really pay much attention to him, and he's doing a lot more than what people realize. Not just what they see on the surface. He's doing so much more than that. And I think that, for example, a guy that I think is underrated, I think Scottie Pippen is the most underrated player in NBA history. And why do I feel like that? I feel like that simply because who he played with. The logic on Scottie Pippen is you played with Jordan. That's it. So that's like getting A's in school and going, well, you went to the best school. That's why you got A's. Well, there's a reason why. That's not the reason why. Scottie Pippen had a 3-year run when they went to the NBA championship and won it those 3 years. Tone, he averaged in the Eastern Conference Championship all 3 years, he went 21, 9, and 6. Just in the Eastern Conference Championship, those 3 years. And in the NBA Finals, he went 21, 8, and 7. So who are we talking about today in the NBA? If you got a guy 3 years in a row who his second guy is going almost 20 and 10 for 3 straight years, how are we talking about that guy? And they turn around and win it 3 more years. I mean, we're having a completely different conversation about how much better this guy is today. So when I think about Scottie Pippen and how much better he was for the Bulls, not only how much better he was for them, how much better he was for Jordan, I think he's the most underrated guy in the NBA history. Now, when you talk about a guy who's underappreciated, Haley, we're talking about a guy who does the things that nobody talks about. And he did them better than a lot of other people. Not only did he do them better than a lot of other people, he was necessary for what these guys did. So, for example, a guy like Horace Grant is one of the most underappreciated guys that I've ever seen. Horace Grant, Udonis Haslem. These guys are some of the most underappreciated guys that I have ever seen. I'm a huge fan of the role player because for every guy who's 30 a game, for every guy who's 25 a game, who is the guy that's doing the dirty work? We need those guys. And the most underappreciated guys are guys who did that stuff. Horace Grant, Udonis Haslem, AC Green, just to name a few guys. They're the guys who do everything that nobody else wants to do, and they don't really get credit for it. Kind of like an offensive lineman.
It's interesting because I look at underrated and underappreciated different. So I look at underappreciated kind of like in the moment, because it'll make sense. So underappreciated in the moment. So, Pippen's actually a really good example, right? Everyone said, "Hey, Jordan," and people didn't appreciate how much Pippen gave to that team, what he did for that team. You could tell by the amount of money he was getting paid. He was not appreciated for what he was doing. When I look at underrated, the way that I look at that is, well, when we rank a player, right? Same with overrated. When we rank a player, what's the gap between like, hey, I have him at 10 all time, and everyone's like, no, dude, he's like 70. Well, that's really overrated. Oh, I have him at 20. No, dude, that's a top 10 player. He's very underrated. So when I think of underrated, I think the most underrated player of all time, I got Pippen up in that conversation too, but as of late, he's started to get, one, because of what he's been doing. Two, because of some of the Jordan hate, they've started to like bring to light some of the stuff that Pippen did as a way to bring Jordan down.
Right.
But I think the most underrated player is a guy who averaged 25 points a game for 10 straight seasons, averaged more than 30 points a game 2 seasons, and did not make the dream team, which he deserved to be on, didn't make top 50 of all time, which he 1,000,000% deserved to be on. And that's Dominique Wilkins. And part of that might be because he didn't win a championship. But if you look at what Dominique did, right? I believe it was 5 or 6 scoring titles he would have had if it wasn't for that jerk, Michael Jordan. He probably would have had a chip too if it wasn't for the Bulls, or had he been on a better team. Atlanta wasn't a good team. So here's a guy who went out and did all that stuff in a time when 3-point shooting wasn't, I want to say 91 or 92, he shot 38% from 3. Like, plus he was super athletic. He got up and down the court. Obviously, I talked about his scoring. We don't talk about Dominique at all. And that's a guy who's like, this is a top 25 player, top 20 player, and we don't even rank. He didn't make the top 50. That's way underrated.
Fluent, why do you think that is, though? What is it, the media who didn't want to bring attention to him? Why isn't he talked about more?
He's not talked about more. Two reasons. One, we put way too much weight into championships. Like, it's like, if you don't have a ring, you're secondary. We're going to talk about the guys who have won rings, and then we're going to talk about the ones that don't. Right?
Take it a step further than that.
We talk about Nash and Barkley.
No.
Don't though.
Not just we talk about those guys secondary. We'll talk about those guys like third and fourth.
Yeah. Like,
we don't get to.
Yeah. So the first thing is the championships. And the second thing is, because of the accolades, because of the era that he played in, right? Just think about it. After, he played in the Magic, Bird, Kareem, Isaiah, Jordan. Like, he played in that era. that even when he did do wonderful things, someone was always just a little bit better, right? Just a little bit, better than him. He doesn't get the MVPs and the accolades. So now you got a guy who doesn't get the accolades, even though he's top 10 every single year he plays, if not better, sometimes top 5, but he's a top 10 player every single year he plays. But because of that, he's never top 2. He doesn't get the accolades. Yeah. He doesn't get the MVPs. He doesn't get the chips. So now it's like, oh, he's trash. Nah, dude, go watch this man play, right? All we think about him is windmill dunks, the human highlight reel. And so I'm using him as the example. There's more guys like that, but that's like really underrated is when, when I'm doing my rankings and I don't have this guy at this level, just think about how crazy that is. Not top 50 for Neek. I think that's nuts. Underappreciated. I think of it more in the moment because what happens to underappreciated players like Pippen, in his time, he's underappreciated. He then eventually, when he retires, becomes underrated, right? So that's where I think for me, the distinction is underappreciated in the moment, underrated, I think becomes the cause and the effect. Yeah. Right. So the cause is underappreciated in his time. The effect is underrated after they're done.
And with that being said, just so you know, Haley, I'm sorry, go ahead, Haley.
Well, I was just going to ask, who in the current league we are in now, who would you say is one underrated and one underappreciated?
An underrated player in the NBA now, who don't we talk about that we should be talking about more? There aren't many guys that I see in the league because the league is so full of scorers. It's so full of guys who are buckets, and that's the time that we live in now. If you're not averaging 30 a game, you're not averaging 25 a game, then you're not really talked about. So I think a guy who is underrated that we don't talk about nearly as much, we don't talk about Demar Derozan nearly as much as we should. I mean, Demar Derozan is one of those guys who I just put the long ball in my game not too long ago. And because I've done that, I've been able to expand my game. But for the last 7-8 years, I'm 20 plus a night. 20 plus a night, and my game is 15 to 18 feet. Now, when you talk about a guy who's underappreciated, once again, Tone, I'm a huge fan of the dirty work guy. I'm a big Tristan Thompson guy. Even though I think he's past what he is, he's past what he was. But when he was with James, I think he's the most underappreciated. He led the league in offensive rebounds. That's second chance points for those Cleveland teams. And because he was doing that for them, he was enabling them. He was giving them a better chance to win. And nobody talked about him. They just looked at him. He was garbage. No, he wasn't, man. No, he was not. I just think that when you think about guys underappreciated, I think about guys like that. But I will tell you one more thing, Tone. We don't really talk much about what Devin Booker did in Boston when he put 70 on them. That's an underappreciated performance. That's a big deal, yo.
I don't think that's. I don't think that's an. Do you think that's underappreciated? Because they did the whole wannabe Wilt picture thing. And,
I don't remember. I think that's a big deal.
And we think.
I think in the conversation of Devin Booker, we don't talk about that enough.
We don't talk about that.
I feel like we do. I think we give him a bump in how good of a scorer he is. Not saying that he's not a great scorer, but I think we bump him up because he has that 70 point. The same way people say KD when they knock him down because he has no 60-point games. I feel like they give Booker the bump for that 70-point game. But hey, that's the conversation.
I will tell you this, Tone, just for the record, and you just mentioned Dominique Wilkins. Just so you know, Haley, when he retired, these how many guys in the history of the league scored more points than him when he retired, and he was not a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is nuts to me.
That's nuts. See what I mean?
That doesn't make sense. There has to be more. Did he? I mean, did he just falter in the big moments when pressure was big? Did he kind of crumble?
His signature game was in the 1988 Eastern Conference semifinals when it basically became a one-on-one game between him and Bird, where he put 47 on Bird in the Boston Garden. It was just you go, Bird go, you go, Bird go. That's what it turned into. It wasn't really anything else besides that. Add that to the fact that the best line that I've heard about Dominique Wilkins was Doc Rivers, who said the difference between Dominique Wilkins and James Worthy is James Worthy had Magic Johnson, Dominique Wilkins had me.
at least he admitted it. And that's the thing. When you look at that, right? He's going toe to toe with Bird. Look who Bird had backing him up. Look who Nick had backing him up.
Right. So he kind of just he was an incredible player, kind of just in a tough era where there's just so much talent. It was hard for
Tone to tell you, who is my favorite player? Who do I talk about all the time?
Who do you talk about? Oh, Neek.
It is.
Neek. I
Yeah,
thought
it
you were
is.
saying Dr. J. You talk about Dr. J all the time.
I talk about
Yeah.
Doc, and I
You
talk
always
about,
talk about
I
Dominique.
talk about Doc, and Neek is, I love Dominic. I ain't like Dominic. I love Dominic. And as much as I love Jordan at that, Dominique was my guy. I love that dude. I thought he was incredible.
Listen, Neek, everything. Like if I was Dominique, I would really, really, really heavily consider like running over Michael Jordan with a car, because he stopped me from getting scoring titles. Probably stopped me from getting to the NBA finals a few times.
Yeah.
And
right there.
I was even in Chicago and I outdunked him, but because it was in Chicago,
Clearly should have won the dunk
won the
contest.
dunk contest because
Haley, this dude is doing two-hand windmills 35 years ago. Nobody was doing that.
Yeah,
because Jordan was there. Because Jordan was there.
Because it was Jordan and it was Chicago.
He was in the shadow.
Stand right there, Mike. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna go get the car. Stand right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
I'll give you a ride, Mike. Sorry. Sunglasses. I didn't see. So I got an underrated. I have a couple. Yeah. An underrated, and again the lines blur, right?
Yeah.
Right now, current. Sure. A guy like Bradley Beal is on a crappy team scoring a bunch of points. And I say he's underrated because I don't think we know how good he is. Is he good? Like if he's on a better team, would he still be doing this?
Wait a minute, though. I mean, he did run with John Wall, who had a 5-year stretch where he went 20-10. So, I mean, it's not like he was on a trash team.
Does anyone ever bring up Bradley Beal in? Do you ever have a conversation about Bradley Beal being one of the best scorers in the league? How often?
Not as much as I should. I mean, this dude, he did average 30 a game twice. Talk about him.
Underappreciated. I have two. One is my guy, and you got me. Someone got it in the chat just before I was about to say it. So he was gonna be the second one I said, but I'll say it first because it's in the chat. So shout out to Alan. You have a good one. Jonas Valanciunas.
Love Jonas.
So underappreciated for what he can do and bring to a team. I to this day will tell you, to this day, that had the Raptors kept Valanciunas and DeLon Wright, I believe was the trade that they sent him for Marc Gasol. One, I still think they win the chip, and two, I think they're better the years after because Mark had a big drop off after that championship. He got really drunk at the parade, by the way. And I think that was just his downfall. I think he's better, and no one talks about how good he is, especially in this day and age where the center position's kind of fading away. He had no 3-point shot. Now, he's average. He's okay. Like he can hit it when he's open, which is amazing. But the one I was thinking first to talk about was a guy that I think got a raw deal because he did some dumb things on the court. And he got on Shacking a fool all the time and people laughed, but people really undervalue or underappreciate what JaVale McGee does for a team with, just what he does. Defense, runs the floor, plays defense, block shots. He does all that stuff that you need people to do. And there's maybe another 100 people that you can list off that do that. Like we talk about that dirty work that we never talk about, like all that stuff that they do. So the stars don't have to. Like I said, there's 100 people that are those guys.
Can you give me, Tone, a better backup center in the game than JaVale McGee?
No.
You talk to me a lot about backup quarterbacks. I'm thinking about JaVale McGee, and I'm thinking, is there a better backup 5-man in the game? Has there been, over the last 5 years, a better backup 5-man in the game than JaVale McGee?
A true 5? Probably not. And because there's very few guys that will play that role, come off the bench, not look for, not need shots, right? He was super athletic, can get up and down the floor, throw him a loop anytime, he'll go up and get it, right? Like that's the kind of guys you need to win. And so I just think we never talk about those guys. So he's a guy that I think about a lot when I think of underappreciated.
I'm a huge Valanciunas fan. I mean, we talking about a dude that's 18-10 down in New Orleans. And I felt like this was earlier in the season. And I felt like he was wasting away. And I was ready to get picket signs and free Valanciunas, get him out of New Orleans. I was ready to do that, Tone, because I felt like, he's wasting away down there. You know what that 18-10 could do in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden.
He's exactly what they need.
How much more he could help them? What is he do? He's wasting away in New Orleans. I was screaming this, but I knew that they couldn't get him. So I'm a huge Valanciunas guy, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I've met him. He's
be
cool
great
guy
in
too.
LA right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in your dreams. Speak it in.
And by the way, Tone, if Valanciunas is on that crew in 18-19, they still win the NBA championship. Yes, they do.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, not to get too deep into the Raptors, but if they keep Valanciunas instead of Marc Gasol, I think he does all the things that Mark was able to do.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause Mark, again, it wasn't the same Marc Gasol. People forget. They think of defensive player of the year Marc Gasol. Like, that's not who they had. But also, you guys may or may not remember this. OG Anunoby, who was a good defender off the bench, it was early in his career, had an appendectomy and missed the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And so their guards were Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, who are great, but they're short. They're small.
Mm-hmm.
DeLon Wright is, I want to say 6'7", 6'8", something like that. He's a very tall point guard who would have really helped them. Look, they still ended up winning, but would have really helped them on the defensive end of being that bigger, taller guy, because Lowry and actually to a lesser extent Lowry, because he's got that bulldog build, but Fred VanVleet, you could post those guys up. Whereas DeLon Wright, because of his length, they'd have trouble. So I think a guy like that would have helped them off the bench too, which would have made up for the difference between Marc Gasol and Valanciunas. And like I said, it's the 2-3 years after too, where man, he turned into like you said, an 18-10 guy who doesn't want an 18-10 center. You know what I mean? So yeah.
All right, you guys, let's get to Keyshawn put a super chat in for us. So let's address that real quick, and then we'll get into the draft. I have to go grab my phone charger, but I'll start you guys off with this. Keyshawn said, I was asking what the Suns' ceiling will be next season.
The Suns?
I think they're at the top of the Western Conference again. I think that was a blip. I don't think that they're a team Tone, that what we saw last year is them. I think that even though I feel the way I do about Chris Paul, I think that him coming back this season, I think Devin Booker is going to be just as good, if not better. I think Mikal Bridges takes a step further. I think that they work this thing out with DeAndre Ayton, and I think that they're a better team. I don't think that they trade him. I just think that they come back better, and I think that they could very well be a Western Conference Finals team, maybe even a Finals team.
Well, if you saw Tuesday's show, you will know that I do not agree with Jay on this one, and I'm sorry, because most of the time I just assume people ask about how a team's going to do because it's their team. So Keyshawn, I'm sorry, I don't think the Suns are going to be a top 4 team in the West this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have issues, even though they, re-signed begrudgingly Ayton. I think that's going to be an issue. I think Chris Paul, every single year, he's getting older and older. At some point, right, he's going to start to slow down a little bit. So I think that there's too many teams on the come up, right? When I look at the West, you've got the Warriors, so you got the defending champs. You've got Memphis, who's going to be just as good. They didn't get any worse. You got the Clippers, who, if healthy, are going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
You have Denver. The Lakers. Look, the Lakers aren't going to finish top 4, I don't think. But there's another. They're going to be a team that was out looking in, that they're now coming in. So I think there's going to be some. It's going to be tough for them to finish in the top 4. So I think they take a step back. It's not to say they're a bad team or they're going to drop right out into the play-in or something. No, they're not going from the 1st seed to the 5th seed will look like a very big drop. And
a lot of people, including yourself, talk about this, the way that DeAndre Ayton's contract was handled. But I don't think that I think it was really smart in terms of business, because number one, we own his rights, which is why Shaq would have still been in Orlando had the restricted free agent tag been available back then. So we still own his rights. And essentially what we're telling you is that we're not against paying you. Go out there and find out what your worth is. Because what we're not going to do is we're not going to overpay for you. We're not going to do that. Now,
okay. JJ, I'm sorry. I got hold on. And I need to cut you off because this drives me nuts. The go get an offer sheet and then we'll match it. So I'm gonna tell my girl, hey, listen, I don't know that I'm ready to marry you, but you go find somebody else, and if someone else proposes to you, come back to me and let me know. And then, oh, someone proposed to you? Who was it? Him? Okay, now I'm going to propose to you. No.
Well, here's the thing, though, Tony.
Okay.
Right.
You want me or you don't. You want me or you don't.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was getting to. Well, you could go out there and find, because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to overpay for you. That's what I'm not going to do.
Why not? I'm worth it.
I'm not going to overpay for you. I'm not doing that. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to pay you what your market value is, not overpay for you. So if he goes out there and let's say Detroit goes to 160. We like 160. We don't like 190. Absolutely not. We do not like 190. But we like 160. I think we could do 160, sure. But nobody came to that. In fact, it was only Indiana that came to 130. We love 130 because now what you did was you went out there and you found out what your market value is. And we would be fools in business to overpay for somebody who not really sure what his plan is, what their plan is for him in the future. Even though I do think that with him in that system, I think that it could work. I do think that they're a top seed in the Western Conference, and I think that they should go to him more offensively, and I think he'll be better. But I think that there's a part of them that they don't really feel like he fits with what they're doing in today's game. I think that that's the problem. I don't think that they fit with him. That's for you, Haley, by the way. I don't think they think he fits with what they're doing in today's game. Because again, the big guy shoots the long ball. The big guy takes the ball off the backboard. The big guy is going with the ball. Now, as good as DeAndre Ayton is in the post, and once he gets going, I just don't think that they think that, which would explain why they didn't overpay for him.
So
but I think that
my market value might be 130. That's what we established because no one offered me more. But I think I'm worth 160.
Well, you obviously not, Tone. And the reason why you're not is because if you were, then you would have gotten that.
For the first few years, though, I was still worth 130 and you were paying me nothing. So you owe me. Fine. You don't want to give it to me? Fine. I'll come. I ain't going to be happy about it, but I'm going to be looking out the front door.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
Just me and main source. I'm looking at the front door.
I'm sure you are.
Well, you think Aiden is overpaid? Or
listen. I will forever and always say this. You are worth what someone will pay you.
Yeah.
That's it. So there's no overpaid, underpaid. You are worth what someone will pay you. But if I'm on that rookie deal, I'm not getting my money. It now comes time for an extension. And you're basically nickel and diming me. Say, well, go find out what the market value is. Well, hold on. What about the first 5 years or however many years he's been there, 4 years, where you were getting me on the cheap? I deserve some of that love. I gave you my blood, sweat, and tears for those years. And that's why the home team, your team, is able to give you an extra year and extra money. It's because I've worked for you for cheaper to start. And that's why and it's an incentive for me to stay. So now you're saying, well, go out there. Well, and it's restricted. So it's not like I could leave because guess what? If Ayton could have left, he was gone. He would have left.
Okay. So here's the other difference.
Now you got a guy who doesn't want to be there, who you don't want to pay. And no matter how much you give him, he's going to be unhappy. It's not a good scenario.
Now, you being a restricted free agent, you still have another year left on your deal. You do not have to sign this extension. You can play this last year of your deal out. And in the process of you playing the last year of your deal out, you could go find out afterwards and be an unrestricted free agent and go get whatever money that you'd like.
Yeah, but I'm taking care of my baby mama's cousin's best friend.
That's a you problem. That is not a me problem, Tone.
That money today.
That is a you problem.
Yeah, that's right. It is a me problem.
That is a you problem. So I don't just have to pay. Remember, Tone, as the check signer, I don't just have to pay you. I got to pay Karen, who works in
but you're a billionaire.
I got to pay her too, right? I got to pay Charles, the security dude at night. I got to pay him too. You know, these lights, they ain't on for free in this arena. I got to make sure that these lights stay on. I'm responsible for that too. You know, the dude that sweeps at night, Clarence, who sweeps out. I got to pay him too, Tone. So
I know. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Listen, and let's go back. I do want to say something too. And here's the funny part, Haley. I don't know if you know this. I don't like Ayton. I've been saying every year that we talk about Phoenix, I don't really like
him at all. No, he doesn't.
So it has nothing to do with him deserving the money or me liking him. I don't even like him, but I understand what he's trying to do. It's, hey, you got to max your money.
Yeah.
You're only in the league for so long, well. Right? You got to.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I know that Pacers deal is kind of still out there. It's still floating around. So maybe once he finishes out this next season or half of it, he can move on.
No, he already signed the extension. They're done. Phoenix matched it. So
yeah.
Phoenix matched
what
the deal.
What is it? 4 years?
4 years, 133.
Yeah, 4 years, 130.
We like 133 a lot better than we like.
I don't like that.
Yeah, but I like 160 better than.
I don't know if I like that.
And you know what I do? If I ever get underpaid, I go like this. I'm like, well, I deserve X. You paid me Y. So if I believe I'm worth X, the difference between X and Y is 10%. I'm gonna give you 90%. I'm giving you 100.
Yeah. They might struggle with that. Keyshawn said he sent us another super chat. Thank you for that. Said if Harden and Curry were swapped on each finals ring, Curry lost. If they had Harden, what do they win and lose? And does he have 4 rings like Curry? Oh, so if Harden and Curry had been swapped on finals ring.
No.
If Harden and Curry were swapped, well, okay, I'll say yes and no. So if Harden is on the 2 Curry winning teams, the before and after KD, they still lose. And if he's on the team with KD, they still win. That team, that Warriors team, if it had Clay, Harden, and KD, they still win. They still win. Because don't forget, Harden's going to play a different role, I'm assuming. He's not going to be like in Houston where the ball's in your hand, you need to score every time. So yeah, I don't think the amount of rings changes. I think it's the same. Or sorry, the 2 that they win with KD, they still win. I said it wrong. The 2 that they win without KD, they lose. Let me rephrase it. So Harden only has 2 versus Curry's 4. Sorry, let me correct that. Does that make sense?
He in the 2012 finals, that's who he really is. And what I did was I gave him the benefit of the doubt simply because he was young. He's a kid. This is his first time here. This isn't who he really is, only to find out that when he gets in bigger moments, this is who he really is. So there's no reason for me to think that once he got to the finals again, that it would have been any different, because he did the same thing. I watched him in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, where Steph Curry scored 0 points in the first half and no KD, and they still lost. I watched him in the Western Conference Finals in 18, where he went 0 for 11 in Game 5 and completely disappeared in Game 7. I know who James Harden is, and there's no reason for me to think that if Curry was on that Houston unit and James Harden was on that Golden State unit before KD, that they would have won. I don't think so.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know.
I think your camera froze, by the way, just so you know.
Oh yeah, my Wi-Fi's been really spotty. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You're not like this.
So the question is, if they were swapped in the finals, then
Harden
have more rings.
Harden was in the finals once.
Yeah,
with OKC.
12.
Yeah,
only one. In 12. Yep.
No, they still lose.
Yeah,
I think
they still lose. They were too. They were, not that they were too inexperienced, but they were just going up against a team that had just been to the finals. You have 3 star players, the best player in the league. Like that was Miami's time. I've always said to this that 12, 13 kind of that James was the best version of him. Yeah, it doesn't matter who they switched Harden out for. They're probably losing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about Curry, and you never know when you put them in a new system how they're going to work anyway. So it's a lot of what ifs. But we should get on to the NFL drafts. I know, Fluent, you put that together, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Obviously. We have another super chat. Savon. Well, he just said
no. He's just giving a
Thank
donation.
you.
Thanks, Savon. I appreciate it, man. Hey, you can get some more vegetables, Jay. Jay's a vegan, right? So anything we can get him to help him buy some more potatoes and tomatoes and broccoli, and I don't know what else you eat.
A lot of brown rice, a lot of wheat pasta.
Have you done? We're gonna get to the NFL draft, I promise. So just so you guys know, the NFL draft is kind of cool. We're gonna build the best possible offensive juggernaut team. It's the ultimate NFL offense we're going to build, and then you guys are going to tell us who's the best. But have you tried? I told you to go to Trader Joe's and try the vegan ribs. Have you tried that yet?
You did tell me to do that. I have not done that yet, Tone, and I'm on it. I'm glad you brought that back up because I am going to. I'm going to take a look at that. Yes,
they're good, man. They're good. It's all about the sauce.
I'm absolutely going to take a look.
All right, so let me pull this up, and we can get to the draft. My fingers are always crossed that this is going to work.
Keyshawn just said another super chat. He said, "Quick question. I swear Russ and Pat Bev have beef," which we did talk about.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. They do have beef.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
yeah, they do. Yes, they do.
That history. I mean, the injury starting in 2013 or 2014. I think that kind of became a whole ordeal, and it hasn't really left. They definitely have beef, but who knows? Maybe they can put it aside. Honestly, I think it's going to be good in a sense because think about it. Pat Bev, Russ, I don't know if they don't play the same, but maybe minutes will kind of be up for grabs. So maybe they'll just both begin performing better, but who knows? It could be the best thing for them. It could be the worst thing for them.
I've said it already, Haley, and I stand on it. If Dennis, Scotty, and Jordan could sit at a table and shake hands, we could get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. This might be what they need.
We could figure this out. We could definitely get to the bottom of this. No doubt.
Savon hit us with one more super chat. We'll get into that real quick. He said, "How do you feel about the Bulls this year, and how far did they go?"
I think that the
Go
Bulls
watch our last pod because we broke it down.
We did break it down, but let's. I'll start with the bad news first, and I'll let Jay finish with the good news. I think they're in the same kind of position where they were this year, kind of that 6-7 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they got better, and they just got older. And so, yeah, I'm not again. But the East did get better. I don't think you're gonna see. I don't think you're gonna see the Nets at the bottom again. The Bucks are going to be healthy. The Celtics are now coming off a finals appearance. They're going to be better. Atlanta, although I don't think they kind of leapfrog. I think Atlanta's better. Cleveland's better. Toronto's still going to be in that mix as a team that, look, they're not going to the finals, but they're going to win some games. So, yeah, I think 6-7 seed again for the Bulls.
I think that they're going to be around that 6 seed. I think that the problem that they had last season was injuries. If they could stay healthy, I think the Bulls and get a favorable matchup in the first round, I think that they can make a playoff run. But if they end up in the 4 or 5 seed where they got to see Milwaukee or Miami in round 1, I think they're a first round exit again. The problem that Chicago had was they were decimated by injuries. If they could get healthy and stay healthy, where Ball is healthy and stays healthy, Caruso stays healthy, Williams stays healthy, Vooch, all of these guys, I know that Zach LaVine played 62 games, but he was in and out of the lineup. When you in and out of the lineup like that, it's difficult to create continuity with everybody. So if we could get him to play 65, 70 games, and we could get that continuity, and we could get these guys to stay healthy, I think that we're looking at a different Chicago unit. But I don't know, so I'm only going to 6. That's as far as I'm going.
Yeah.
All right. So here's how it's going to work. It's a snake draft. So chill, Haley, me, Haley, chill, Haley, me.
Yeah.
You pick whatever position you want: QB, running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end.
Yep.
The only caveat is once a player has been picked from a team, you cannot pick another player from that team. Okay.
Yep.
So take it away. Chill, you have the first pick in this year's NFL draft.
Well, you guys already know that I am a Justin Herbert stan. I know who Tom Brady is. I know who Aaron Rodgers is. I know who Josh Allen is. And if I had to pick one guy, I mean, it's simple for me. I'm picking Tom Brady.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you threw us off.
That's not where I thought you were going to go.
Whoa.
I'm picking Tom Brady.
Haley, now keep in mind, you don't have to pick. You don't have to pick a QB. You can pick any position.
Yeah. I'm offhand. I'm not gonna go like.
So now no one.
Way.
So just as an example, nobody on the Bucks is available. So no Mike Evans.
Wait. So for anybody.
That's it. No more Bucks players.
Bucks are off the board.
I mean, that doesn't affect me. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I am gonna take my QB. And I'm gonna take a little risk here. I'm gonna take Josh Allen. I'm a big Josh Allen stan. I think that he's young. I think that he has a lot to prove. So yeah, I'm taking all the Bills off the table.
Yeah.
So let's go.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat because everybody thought you were taking Justin Herbert there, Chill. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my two. I'm gonna take right off the bat. I'm taking my my wide receivers, both of them. I'm taking Justin Jefferson, and I'm taking Devontae. I'm gonna spell his name wrong. Adams.
Okay.
So now there's no more Raiders and no more Vikings on the board. Haley, it's to you for your second pick.
Let's see. I'm going to take my tight end, and I'm going to take Travis Kelce.
Oh, that's a great pick. You know why that's a great pick?
Wow.
Because there's like 3 good tight ends. And it takes all the Chiefs off. Oh.
No, because now I can't take my quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, because I was like, I need a quarterback because both of you guys
Boom, Haley. Take
Well done. Well done.
Boom.
Good job.
I like it.
Hell yeah.
So now it's to you. You get two picks in a row, Chill.
I am going with my running back. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry.
Ooh. Okay.
And with my wide receiver, Tone took my first wide receiver. So my second wide receiver, I'm taking Devontae Adams.
No, Devontae Adams is off the board, my friend.
Is he? Oh, yeah, he is off the board. I'm sorry, my fault. I didn't see that he was off the board. So he is off the board. So my second wide receiver, I am going to go. You already took Justin Jefferson, too. And you took Devontae Adams. Yes, you did. So because you did that, Tone, I'm going to take the cheetah, Tyreek Hill.
That's a good pick right
nice.
there.
That was who I was going to take.
Oh, wait a minute. That's right, because he ain't in Kansas City no more. He's in Miami.
Oh, yeah, he's in Miami.
Yeah,
You're good. You're good.
That's right.
You good. All right. I'll take one of my wide receivers. Give me Cooper Kupp.
Nice.
Kupp. All right. Let's see. Okay. I'm gonna go with.
It's getting harder.
I'm gonna go. Okay. Let me take my quarterback. Let me take my quarterback. He's still the best one. He's the reigning MVP. So I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers.
Is Tone really taking a Green Bay Packer?
I'm gonna take a Packer. I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers. And I'm gonna take.
That's gross.
Jonathan Taylor as my running back. There we go. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Jonathan Taylor. Bam.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'll take my other wide receiver before Jay can get him. I'm going to take Debo.
Oh, I was taking him too.
I know you were.
You knew I was taking Debo.
I read your mind.
She knew it.
Debo.
Yep.
All right, I'll take Debo. So with my other wide out, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase.
Well, that's just a great pick right there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not how you spelled. I think you spelled his name a little bit different, but
it's J-A apostrophe.
J-A apostrophe, right?
J-A apostrophe and then M-A-R-R. Yeah, there you go.
Go. Listen, I'm a terrible speller. And you get two. So you also you need
I go again. So, and I know this is blasphemy because George Kittle is my guy. He plays for the 49ers. I'm taking Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, you got it. All right, you need a running back.
All right. Oh man, I'm stuck.
Uh-oh.
When healthy, I want to take Christian McCaffrey, but I could take Nick Chubb. I'm gonna take Christian McCaffrey and just hope for the best.
You're just gonna hope that he stays healthy.
That's it.
Hope that he stays healthy. Yep.
What else can she do, Tom?
I don't know with him. It's kind of like Saquon. Like I love him, but just don't know with him.
Yeah.
All right, so you're taking
last pick.
So let me put this in. I'll just put CMC.
Yep.
All right. Man. Okay. I'm gonna go with the young guy at tight end because I was thinking I didn't think you were gonna take Mark Andrews, and that was gonna be my pick.
Got you, Tone.
Yeah.
I'm in your head, Tone.
I can't take my second favorite guy, which is Darren Waller, because I already have Devontae Adams. So I'm gonna go with the young guy who, let's be honest, in his rookie season went for over 1,000 yards in Kyle Pitts.
Love Kyle Pitts. I don't like Kyle Pitts.
So
love Kyle
for
Pitts.
the chat,
Travis called that.
Oh,
he
did
knew
he?
what you were gonna say. Yeah, he said Fluent going Pitts.
Oh man. Oh, because I probably said he's a young guy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Travis, you're smart. All right. So let's go. Let me run down the teams. One for TikTok, but two for the chat. We need you guys to vote. By the way, I see 45 people watching. I don't know how many likes there are, but there better be at least 40. So here we go. So Chill's team, he's got the ultimate offense: Tom Brady, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these teams, by the way.
That's so stacked.
That team is solid.
Yeah.
Haley's got Josh Allen, CMC, Cooper Kupp, Debo Samuel, Travis Kelce. Ooh, you better hope CMC stays healthy, but
I'm loving CMC when he's healthy.
it's okay if CMC's. Don't worry, if CMC gets hurt, you just move Debo into the backfield. You're good.
Yeah, he can play.
Yeah, and then on the winning team, I got Aaron Rodgers, the MVP, Jonathan Taylor, last year's best running back, Justin Jefferson, this year's best wide receiver, Devontae Adams, the best wide receiver in the game, and the best young tight end. Did I do a good sell job? Kyle Pitts. So let's in the chat. Let's go. Let's just say who you think win. Chill. You can put CHF or Chill, Haley, Fluent. The first vote has come in. Davis says, I'll take Haley's team. One for Haley.
Yeah. Let's go, Davis. Oh, and let's say, Chill, on your team, who do you feel like is kind of like the biggest question mark in the specific like team?
Oh yeah, run down your teams. Tell us how you think it's going to work.
Well, I'm never betting against, as long as Tom Brady is upright and he can throw, I'm never betting against Tom Brady. He's still, until Tom Brady shows me that he can't play anymore, he's going to always be a top 2, top 3 quarterback in the game. He's the ultimate pocket passer, and there's nothing more that I can say about him except that he's the best. Derrick Henry is basically a more athletic version of Eddie George. That's who I look at when I think about Derrick Henry. I love everything about Derrick Henry. He's the consummate workhorse back, and I could give him the football 20, 25 times a game, and he's going to run. And he's not only is he going to run, he's looking for contact. So and that's going to put more. What's that going to do? What that's going to do is that's going to extend Tom Brady, because he don't have to throw as much, because Derrick Henry's going to open up the offense so much because he runs. Now, Tom Brady being the long ball thrower that he is, I got Tyreek Hill. And I got Tyreek Hill going downfield. And I got Tyreek Hill running straight 9 routes. That's all he's doing. Running 9 routes and running 9 routes, running 5-yard slants and running 15-yard hooks. Then he's going to open up the offense. Jamar Chase might be the best young wide receiver in the game. Maybe. He might be the best young wide receiver in the game. He's got great hands. He's going to open up the offense for us so much. And Mark Andrews, he was the difference last year. If Lamar Jackson stays healthy, they make the playoffs. And the reason why they make the playoffs is because he implemented Mark Andrews so much more in that offense. I think he was him and Travis Kelce were the only 2,000-yard. No, that's not true, because Kyle Pitts was a 1,000-yard tight end too. But Mark Andrews, I think he's the best. I think you can make the argument he's the best tight end in the game.
I got him on my fantasy team. I believe we have a moderator. If any of the moderators, if they could get Deshaun Watson out of the chat, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, please. We have a bot.
we have Deshaun Watson in the chat. Let's move him on. Haley, make the case. Make the case for your team.
Looking at my team, I like it. I think if I could, I'd have maybe a bit more speed. I mean, I got Debo, obviously. I got Cooper. Christian McCaffrey is kind of a big question mark, but I'm comfortable with it if he's healthy. And again, Josh Allen, I think he's proven himself. I just think he still has a little ways to go before I'm like sold, but I'm already all in for him heading into this next season. So I think I have some of the best. Just fitting together will be interesting. But yeah. I like my team. Yeah. It's good. Solid.
Well, look, I agree with you guys. Aaron Rodgers is MVP. So he's the best quarterback in the game right now. Listen, Derrick Henry coming off an injury. Don't know what we're going to get. CMC gets injured every year. Don't know what we're going to get. Jonathan Taylor, we know he's healthy. We know he's good. I don't think it's – I believe if we ran a poll, who are the top 2 wide receivers in football, I think 90% of people would tell you Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams. Yeah. I think it will be the consensus pick. So I just, what are you going to do as a defense? You can't, you can double Jefferson and Devontae and Kyle Pitts? Then Jonathan Taylor's going to run roughshot on you. And Aaron Rodgers, it's a broken play? Don't worry. Oh, you came offside? Woo! It's just, the team just, I believe, is unstoppable. So, I believe you're leading in the poll, but again, this is being broadcast live on Chilltown Hoops. So we got to take off a little chunk of your. We got some homers. So my crew ain't really that good. I just got home. Chill, like 4 in a row. It's like I will say this.
It is.
I will say this. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 love chats, and so I believe those are for me. I just assumed so I'm going to count those as votes for my team.
I come in third.
No, you had the first one, so you got the I don't know. Do you watch The Bachelor or The Bachelor?
I've seen it. A rose.
Jay, do you watch it? Do you watch it?
I do not watch The Bachelor.
Come on, Jay. Be honest. Be honest.
You guys got to watch, man. So Haley got the first impression rose, so she got the first vote. So that counts as a couple too. So we're gonna post this. We're gonna post this on TikTok and see. We'll get a vote through. But I think all 3 teams are phenomenal. So that was fun. We're gonna do more. If you have some ideas for drafts and those types of things, send them our way. Heck, if you want to join us, how about this? If you want to join us and do a 4-person draft, if it's your idea and you want to jump on, you're invited to come on. We crazy. Why not?
I like it.
We innovative.
And Liam in the chat, you've had a lot to say today. But you guys not doing a bench draft. We can absolutely do a bench draft. We were just gonna do like starters today. We could definitely add like a defense. All that.
Oh yeah. We'll do some deeper ones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. Chill, do you have any segment planned for today that you wanted to give us a 1 to 2 minute rundown on?
I got a quick question for you guys. So in the 18 season, Luka shows up, and Luka is getting all types of criticism. He's too slow. He's from Europe. He's not going to be able to pan out in the NBA. Well, he dispels all of that, Tone. Wins Rookie of the Year. Now, mind you, he did play 4 years of pro basketball in Europe. And the Euro League doesn't have any affiliation with the NBA. It's not like it's a situation where Olympiacos has a farm system, is the farm system for the Knicks. So that's not going on, right? So with that, I say that to say, Doc played 5 years, Tone, 5 years in the ABA before he came to the NBA. He had a better season than both Adrian Dantley and Mitch Kupchak. Should Doc have won Rookie of the Year in the 76-77 season?
Make the case. Because you know who won. So who was the MVP in
Adrian Dantley won.
Adrian Dantley, I know as a scorer, right? Mm-hmm. So Adrian Dantley versus Dr. J. If you were to make a case for each, right? Because I'll have to go back. I'll be honest. I have to go back and check. Haley, I don't believe you weren't watching basketball back then, right?
Haley was not around. I don't think Haley was around.
So why don't you make the case, and you make the case, and we'll vote, and the chat will vote. So in like 30 seconds, here's the case for Dantley, like an elevator pitch. Here's the case for Dantley. Here's the case for Jay, and let's see. We'll be the jury.
Well, when I think about Adrian Dantley, he got on that Buffalo squad. Not only did he get on that Buffalo squad, he made an immediate impact, and that Buffalo team became a lot better. And he came in he averaged almost 20 a game his rookie season. Doc, on the other hand, he got on that Philly squad, and he was the difference. Not only was he the difference, they didn't not only make the playoffs, they went to the NBA Finals that year. This is a team that was not very good the previous year. And Doc got on that team and took that team to the NBA Finals while averaging 22 a game as a first-year player in the NBA.
Well, it sounds like you have your mind made up. You think it's
I'm going to say Doc.
You've convinced me it's Dr. J.
Yeah.
Is it because he came from the ABA? Do you think that he didn't win? Like, did they look at ABA players? Did they look at ABA players like, eh? Well, because not only that, it was recent. It was recent where we even started looking at ABA stats.
Well, not only that,
it wasn't that long ago.
Not only that, the ABA was a rival league to the NBA. Those two guys were those two leagues were in competition for players, and the logic was ABA guys couldn't do it in the NBA. That's why they went to the ABA, because they weren't good enough to play in the ABA. So that stigma was definitely on them. So when Doc showed up, Doc wasn't really looked at as a rook because he had already played 5 years in the ABA as a professional. So
yeah, I just look at their careers. And Dr. J, I love Adrian Dantley, but Dr. J was a better player.
He was.
There's no. Yeah. I'm not surprised that that Dr. J probably was a better player in 76, 77. So yeah, you convinced me. I say Dr. J should have won.
What year did like MVP and all that come into existence?
The league MVP
when
started
the first year.
The first league MVP was in 47. No, 52. I think the first league MVP was. It was in 52. The first league MVP, and the defensive player of the year came in 82, the 82-83 season.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking that came a bit later.
Yeah, and then the finals MVP came in 69. The finals MVP came in 69. The defensive player of the year came in the 82-83 season.
Okay, and then we've had all the conference championships. All those have been kind of slowly integrated since then as well.
Yeah. And who was the first? You know who the first MVP was in 1956?
I think it was. I'm stumped. I think it wasn't Tommy Heinsohn. It might have been Tommy Heinsohn.
Give us a hint. First name, first letter of the first name.
No, I'll give you a hint. Oh, you want? It starts with a B.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I take that back, Tone. You ain't even got to tell me. I'm sorry. And not only did he win it, he won it in back-to-back. He won it in back-to-back seasons. It was Ball Pettit. I'm bugging out. What was I thinking?
I was gonna say it's another name for Robert Small.
It was Ball Pettit. You ain't even got to say.
That was gonna be my clue.
Ball Pettit. He won it in back-to-back. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Oh, Keyshawn
got it right.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Good job, Keyshawn.
Nice.
Yeah, we got smart. We got fluent people in the chat.
Yeah, it was 56.
We do. Always learning.
I wrote down. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you go, Fluent.
Ladies first.
Well, I was just gonna ask you guys one of the chat questions that I wrote down from earlier. We sort of touched on it, but I wanted to go a little more into detail. But you finish off what you were gonna say.
No, I was gonna say I wrote down a couple of chat questions too, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, perfect. Let's do. Well, early on, he asked, "Can Chet bounce back?" And I know we sort of addressed his injury. And also, are they supposed to be playing in Pro-Am games when they're about to start their very first season ever? Like, is that, I mean, because we have pro games here. Katie was just in town this Sunday. Like we love that. And it's so incredible for the community. I love that. But should you be doing that like right before you're?
Yeah, you should be playing. Because listen, if it wasn't that, there was like Summer League. There's all those leagues, Pro-Ams, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt. If your fear is I can't play because I'm gonna get hurt, then you probably shouldn't be playing anyways.
He was up to par on like conditioning and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question was, can he bounce back? Yeah.
Well, I don't think can he bounce back. I think can he start? So like he's never played in the NBA. So you know me, and I know that I'm in the minority when I say this. I don't care what you did before. I don't care what you did before. Show me in the NBA against the best of the best. So can he come into the league now after a year? Yeah, you know what? It actually might, depending on how severe the injury is, of course, but it might actually help him to sit and watch from the sideline and rehab and build up because he is very slight, right? Like he is very skinny. So like it wouldn't hurt him to, do whatever he can do in the weight room, in the gym, watch, get a better understanding for the feel of the game, learn the offense, learn the terminologies. Like people forget, like we think about it when we talk about football, play calling and that. it's not as complex, but it is in basketball too. You have certain terminology and play calls and those things. He can learn those things. So yeah, as long as he's fully recovered from the injury, I think it might actually help him.
Well,
and it's not like he's going on to a contender, right? He's going on to a team that's building, so it's okay.
Well, two things, Tone. So the logic of him bouncing back. Well, I saw Ben Simmons, I saw Blake Griffin, and I saw Joel Embiid, who also missed 2 seasons, bounce back from season-ending injuries as a rook. So this is possible.
Yeah.
Now, him, in terms of his slight build, I want you guys to remember, Giannis showed up. He was under 200 pounds when he showed up. KD looked like you could blow him over with a leaf blower when he first showed up. So the issue that I've always had with Chet is I look at his frame. I'm not worried about him filling out, because you have some guys who they're just built that way. I'm not worried about that. The thing that concerned me with him is, could he hold up? Not just because of filling out. Could he actually hold up? And that's the thing that I was concerned with him the most. Now, when you got a team like Oklahoma City, and I've mentioned this to Tone in the past, that Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Salt Lake City, these places are not destination cities. So when I have a top 2, top 3 pick, we have to get it right. We can't, because missing picks like this can set us back years. So when we have a guy like Chet Holmgren who misses a season, and in the words of Tone, we fail, you fail fast. But I also think that these general managers, they'd much rather these kids stay in school. They'd much rather these kids stay in school for a year, stay in school for 2 years, maybe even 3 years, because they would be more developed physically. Now we'd have a better idea of what we're dealing with, as opposed to this dude's coming out 1 year. We spent the number 2 pick on him, and is he made of glass? We don't know. And now we're in a bit of a bind. So it's going to be interesting to see. But in terms of him holding up, Tony, he reminds me, he looks like a more skilled version of Sean Bradley. That's what I think about when I see him.
That's not a compliment. Yeah, I just, we're going to see a guy who got hurt in his rookie season come back and dominate the league this year in Zion. I'm speaking that into existence for him because I want to see him play, because the little bit that we saw was fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's hope he's the prototype, right?
Yeah.
Look, if you go down the list of these like really skinny kids that come in, the list of ones that have failed and have either just not panned out, have never filled out, have stayed injured, whatever. The list of ones that have failed is very, very long. The list of KDs and Giannis's is not a long list. So, if this is Vegas, they're telling you the odds are he's too skinny, he's already hurt before he starts game 1, move on. Just like move on. Like it's terrible to say. I know it sounds really cutthroat, but it's just, that's what we've seen in the past. So do I want to bet on the 90% that fail when they have that build, or the 10% that succeed? And let's be honest, like, I don't know what it is about him. I normally like bravado and like the cockiness of players. I don't like him.
I should love him, Tone, and I don't. I should love him, but I really don't. And I don't know. I can't put my finger on why I don't love this kid, and I should love him, but I don't.
Remember when Ja Morant came out and said, like, I'm putting Jordan in a blender or whatever the heck he said? I loved that.
I was loving that.
Something about him that I don't like. So yeah. I don't know what it is. I know that's a horrible thing to say. He's a kid, but it almost didn't seem natural. Like, it was almost like someone said, hey, you need to be this like really confident person to like let people know that you're really good. So it felt forced, I guess.
He has to grow into his personality in front of the camera. That takes time. And I feel you. Keyshawn asks, tips and advice for youth who want to go pro in basketball or football, and common questions, hide distractions.
Can you read that a lot slower?
Yeah. Sorry. It's hard. I'm blind, so I'm reading off my phone. He said, what are some tips and advice for youth that want to go pro into basketball or football? And common question, hide distractions.
Okay, I'll give you 2. 1, if you need help getting views, like seen as an athlete, like for a scholarship, check. I've said this before. Curtis Gladney, Playbook Athlete. They help you put together social media campaigns and tapes to get you seen by a bunch of scouts. And that's a free plug. They don't pay me for that. Curtis is a really good dude out of North Carolina and is trying to help kids, players, whatever, get to that next level. So playbook athlete. Number 2 is be smart. Be smart. And when I say be smart, with everything, be smart with what you put into your body. Be smart about who you hang out with. Be smart about where you go. Be smart about who you go with, right? Just be smart, because the number of people I know that had the skill, had the talent, had the athleticism that failed, almost every single time they weren't smart, right? I tell a lot of people the story. There was football, basketball. He had like 1 million scholarships, a guy that I played both sports with. And we came to an early morning practice one day. I'm not going to say his name or say anything because I don't want to, whatever. But all I know is we came to practice. We all said, hey, where's? And they're like, oh, well, he was with a couple of friends that he shouldn't have been with. They decided to rob a bank. He was in the car. He's now in jail with them. And that was the end of his football and basketball career. This is a guy that was so talented at both, could have went pro in either. Wasn't smart. Just wrong place. It wasn't just wrong place, wrong time. It was wrong people. So I always say that's the number one kind of thing that derails that opportunity that you have. When God reaches down and gives you talent, be smart. Be smart.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother had a 6th grade education, and she said to me, if you want to do something, you got to hang around people that's doing it. That simple.
Mm-hmm.
And
you are who you surround yourself with.
And if you want to be a pro basketball player, you want to be a basketball player, you got to hang around ball players. It's that simple. And you have to become it. And the only way that that this thing is going to materialize is you have to become it. And the way you become it is you got to hang around people who are doing it, and you have to make it your life. It's that. And I hate to oversimplify things because it's not really that simple. So I'm not going to say
it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Yeah.
But if you want to do something, you got to hang around people that's doing it, and you have to make it your life. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way you're going to become it.
I'm not trying to act like all hard or anything when I say this, because I don't like talking about my personal life. However, I will tell you, there was a time when the vast majority of my friends were, drug dealers and illegal type of people. Mm-hmm. And there came a point where it was like, okay, keep doing that or start hanging out with doctors and CEOs. And I'm not talking about when I was young. I'm talking about as an adult. Right. Start hanging out with, and now my best friend is a doctor. My best friend is a CEO, mm-hmm. right? Because that's the life I wanted to lead. So it's funny because those, when people say, oh, you got a chance, you got an opportunity, someone opened a door for you. Yeah, you know why? Because I was standing next to them when they opened the door. If I was standing next to the one that was pushing everybody else down the stairs, guess where I'd end up? I'd end up down the stairs. So you got, some of that. Look, we're oversimplifying. Sometimes you can't. Yeah. You don't get to pick your situation, but if you can, as much as you can, be smart. Like again, that's just, if it's always in your head, just be smart. Like, I tell my kids, would you do this in front of us? Like, would you do what you just did in front of mom and dad? And they're like, well, no. Then don't do it behind their back. And they're like, oh, I get it. Just think, is this a smart thing to do? Would I like someone to do it to me? Like all those, the parenty things to say, but yeah, it's what you do.
Yeah. And then with that, as you go into high school and then college, that the freedom that comes with that is remaining in that mindset after you're out of your parents' house or away from your friends or away from that community that you grew up with. If you move, that freedom that comes with that can open up the door for, a lot of stupid choices. So maintaining that mindset is going to take you so much further, and doing what the rest of the people around you probably aren't doing. You have to be different and be separate from the majority of people around you. So good question.
My freshman year in university, I went buck wild. I went crazy. I was like, whoops, I wasted a year. So yeah.
You learn. Yeah, that's how you learn though, through lessons. So did you have any more?
I have two. Yeah, I had two that I wrote down. So this one, none of them are quick, but we'll try to go quick. Okay, this one is from Kaleem Asaf, who clearly plays NBA 2K, because I know anyone who says 3-level scorer that's not have you ever heard that term before? NBA 2K? Never. All right, so here we go. How is LeBron not the best scorer ever? He can back down, fade, shot deep, maybe shoot deep. Best finisher, driver, best transition down the court player. He has all the tools necessary and scores on all 3 levels. Well, why don't you tell us?
I think James is the top 5 scorer all time. I don't think he was better than Jordan as a scorer. I don't think he was better than Jabbar as a scorer. But I do think that he's a top 3 scorer all time, and I think he expanded his scoring, his ability to score when he improved his long ball. Because had he not been able to improve that, he would have been relying solely on his transition game and his ability to get to the basket. And the fact that he improved his long ball, I think that expanded his game offensively so much.
I just want you to know, within that sentence, you took him from top 5 to top 3. So you
Is he over KD, Jay? He's over KD for you?
Well, I think, yes, I do. I do think he's over KD.
You have LeBron over KD?
Yeah, I got Jordan. Actually, I'm sorry. Did I say top 5? I take that back. I think he's 2. I didn't think he was back. I'm sorry. I got that.
You went from 5 to 3 to 2.
Yeah.
He might be 1 by the time we finish.
Jordan is the only guy. I said this to you in the past, Tom. James is the best that I've ever seen. Nobody is better than him. He's the best the only thing Jordan did better than him was score. He did everything else better than everybody else. I'm sure of that. And in terms of scoring, I think he's the second best scorer in NBA history behind Jordan.
But he did. Okay, go.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, but LeBron did everything better than Jordan except for scoring, you think?
I think so.
But but isn't Jordan your GOAT?
No.
Me?
No. He's got LeBron.
Yeah. James.
Oh, why did I think that?
No,
okay.
People always confuse us. That's why.
That's this dude over here.
I'm the white Shannon Sharp. He's the black Shannon Sharp. You didn't get that?
I think your love for Jordan just transcends everything else because I know how much you love him.
Who loves Jordan? Jay loves Jordan. It's actually fun. You know what's actually funny? What's actually funny? People don't understand this dynamic. So I got Jordan 1, LeBron 2. Jay's got LeBron 1, Jordan 2. But he likes Jordan more than I do.
Yeah.
He likes that. That's the part that blows my mind. Is like, people be like, "You're a Jordan rider," blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, actually, it's really funny. The person who has him 2 actually likes him more than I do.
So what does that say about Jay? I mean, what does that say about James when I've been on Jordan for as long? What does that say?
That's why you convince so many people.
When I'm able to go, yo, this dude is it. Because Haley, I can tell you for the last time. And me and Tone had this conversation. James in year 10, they're starting to have this conversation, and I won't even entertain it because I'm still stuck on Jay. I'm not over that. I'm not, and I'm like, I'm not even entertaining that. So,
Yeah. And my thing has always been this: is that Jordan had 11 prime years. Okay, so 11 years where like he played more than 20 games and he wasn't a wizard. 11 prime years.
Yeah.
LeBron James, by the time it's said and done, is going to have 22 prime years.
He might.
Like,
that might happen.
For the drop off, and it hasn't happened.
That might happen. We might be looking at a dude for like 17.
And then it's really hard because that's why I said it's really hard because I'm like, yeah, he did so much. He had all those accolades in 11 years, and 6 titles, 6 and all that kind of stuff, right? The MVPs, the Defensive Players of the Year, the 10 scoring titles. It's amazing. But then when you look at LeBron, you're like, yeah, he had 22 peak years. So yeah, he doesn't have as many rings, but that's kind of team, right? And kind of competition. He doesn't have the
player, he's just like so well-rounded.
Like he doesn't have the Defensive Player of the Year, but he's got like a bunch of second place finishes, which is fine. And that's where people knock him like, oh, he didn't win the rings. He finished second 10 times. Well, sorry. He won 4 and he came in second 6 times, right? He never won Defensive Player of the Year award, but yeah, he came in second. 5.
This dude is running 100 yards in like 9.84, and I'm running it in 9.86.
Yeah, and it's like so at what? And that's why I keep saying, when does that longevity? So when I look back and and I'm like, well, 11 prime years versus 22, because he's probably going to get there. And the stats, the accolades, all that stuff, the skill, like we can argue about the skill, like we can go back and forth about, well, one's a better free throw shooter, one's a better 3-point shooter, one's Jordan's a better offensive rebounder statistically. You can go back and forth, but you can literally, it goes like this. I think remember we did the advanced analytics and I broke it all down for Jay and I said, look, if you look at all of them, Jordan leads 5 out of 6 of the main advanced analytics, but when you look at the difference, it's decimal points. It's like 0.01, 0.02. So they're so close. So then it's like, well, if they're that close, one guy has 6-0, the other guy's been there 10 times and won 4, but he did it for twice as long. People say that as a negative, like, well, it took him twice as long to get as much, but it still was it wasn't like he was Kareem scoring 12 points a game, right? He's in year 20 scoring 30. So he's still getting it done. So it's yes. To back to the question, I have James as a top 5 scorer. I have Jordan ahead of him. I do have KD ahead of him as a scorer. He might be 3 or 4 for me. I haven't done a list, but he's top 5 for sure. But where he lies, whether it's 3 or 4, he's somewhere there. And it's free throw shooting, which I do count as scoring. I know that people don't, and his mid range. That are really the only knocks against him, because he's the best percentage-wise finisher from 0 to 3 feet, like over 70% or something like that for a long period of time. He has gotten better as a 3-point shooter, which he wasn't before. His footwork has gotten better. His post moves have gotten better. He's a freight train. Like, just ask Chet, right? When he comes in transition. So yeah, I don't care how you score. I really don't. If you score 50 points a game and all you did was hook, and no one could stop it, why do anything else? Why do I need to be a versatile scorer if I can do one thing and you can never stop it?
That's why I got Jabbar.
He does more than one, like Jabbar, yeah.
That's why I got him as the top 3
they give
scorer.
Jabbar no love. They're like, all he did was skyhook. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. Right? So
that's like being in a race and saying the only thing you do is run fast.
Run fast,
Your form isn't that great or anything. You just run
The
fast.
only thing you can do is win.
That's it. You just run faster than everybody else. Your form isn't beautiful or anything like that. You just run fast.
Or if you're a boxer, and they're like, oh, you don't move side to side very well. You're not a good defensive boxer. Yeah, but every time I punch you, you go down and I win.
All I do is drop people though.
It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
So here's my last chat question. First of all, yes, Iverson's not just the best pound for pound scorer. Iverson's the best pound for pound player ever. My man was 150 pounds soaking wet. Okay, here's my other question that was really good because it's non-sports related. And, I like to throw in some more stuff. What is one movie or show that you are most anticipating?
Ooh. Well, I'll tell you a weird one, okay? Okay. So there's a story, I think they were called the Silent Twins, but it's a really sad story about these girls who were twins. And when they were born, this was a long time ago, but when they were born, they didn't really speak, like they didn't use their words. They spoke like a very strange language. And over time, they went through so much tragedy in their young lives. They went to school where they were bullied, and there was a lot of racism and just a lot of tragedy happened. And this ended up kind of conforming them into, they learned to speak a weird language to only each other. No one could understand it. And they ended up becoming like arsonists. They started burning stuff down. It's just like a really sad story. But anyways, a company just picked it up and they're making a movie out of it. Nice. So I think it's called the Silent Twins. Twins. You should look it up.
Jay, you got any?
Oh, that's easy for me. The Book of Power Part 2 with Ghost. Tariq is for lack of a better term, he is the epitome of a scumbag. He killed his father. Not only did he kill his father, he basically took over the empire. His mother's going to jail. Now he's ended up, the season 2 is coming up, and I am so anticipating what's going on in season 2 because why? He was tutoring a basketball player, Tone, who ended up getting killed because he was in business with her aunt, with the dude's aunt. And it ended up.
Oh yeah, I'm watching. I know the story.
Okay, so you already know the story. So I'm ready for season 2.
I'll be honest with you. I'm actually really upset that they killed off Ghost.
I was out on Power when Ghost died. I was out. I was like, how you can't kill Ghost? You can't. Yeah, killing Ghost was super corny.
So I got. Yeah, Watson. Sorry, I forgot to give him his. We always got to give him his intro and his outro. So I'm gonna, because they asked for a show or movie. I'm gonna give you one of each. So the show, okay. I didn't realize it was out yet. So I think there's 2 episodes in. I haven't watched. I think I watched the first 30 seconds just to make sure that it was coming out. So I've been waiting for Mike. So it's the Mike Tyson story.
I just saw that.
Yes. So I saw the first 30 seconds, and I'm already. Just before we came to record or to go live, I was like, oh, it is. I thought it was coming out next week. So I hit play real quick and I saw just the intro 2 minutes, whatever it is. I'm like, I'm in. I'm hooked. The actor who plays Mike does a great impression of him. Yeah, so I'm in on Mike. And then the movie, I think I'm surprised. Black Panther, man. I want to see how they. I want to see how they.
I don't know. I don't
know if I'm prepared to see Black Panther.
I don't know.
The trailer's so good. I fall in love with trailers. The trailers
that might be the whole body of the movie. I don't know. I'm excited.
I'm gonna go see it though. I am gonna go see it though.
You have to go see it. You have to go see it. So, yeah, those are the two from me.
Yeah.
If there's a doc, hold on. I didn't know. Liam says there's a doc about Kobe. If a Kobe doc is coming out, then that jumps to the front of the list, and everything else means nothing.
I will actually. I don't have Showtime or HBO, but if there was a doc on Kobe, I will get Showtime or HBO just for that.
And I'll send you my.
We have HBO. Jay, are you watching the Niner game? Is it on still?
I think it's still on right now. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was watching Open Court What Ifs, but
yeah, I know that they were playing tonight. Andy Reid was on TikTok live for the Chiefs tonight. It was so funny.
The fake Andy Reid?
He seems like a good guy. I think it was real.
Because there's a guy that like does an impression of him that's like.
Maybe it was fake Andy Reid. There's a fake Andy Reid?
Yeah.
He looks just like Andy.
Just like him.
It might have been like fake Andy Reid. He did look a little weird.
He looks more than hey, Vamp said you could have their HBO Jay.
Oh.
I was gonna say I'll give you my username and password, but then I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. Someone will hear this and I'll get booked. Yeah, the Niners are down 17-0 to my surprising Texans, who I told you I would be better than you thought. I don't care that it's preseason. I'm in. Lovey Smith, baby. Lovey Smith, baby. And
we won the last two.
52 seconds left. Chiefs are up 17-10
on
the Packers. Yeah. It's for everybody. We should probably tell you guys that still stuck around. We're going to be just Thursday nights now, so we're going to be we could probably do like talk about the live every Thursday night game, because Thursday night games are usually boring. So it's actually it's good.
Yeah.
And we got one last super chat, and then I'm going to let everybody go to bed. Toxic Key says #recast T'Challa.
Does he know?
Does he know what?
I mean, I don't know who would we recast.
We don't even know who takes. Like, I guess that's what's so exciting. We don't.
Yeah,
know
that's true.
Who's going to be?
They'll probably put a good spin on it. It'll probably be better than I'm expecting. I'm sure it will. It's just not the same,
But you never know. It could be better.
You're right. I need to have an open mind.
Rocky 3 was better than Rocky 1. Sometimes sequels are better.
Rocky 4 was better than all of them.
Are you? Oh, that's right. We had this. My Mrs. Fluent thinks Rocky. She can recite Rocky 4 like word for word. She watched it that. I know what I'm telling you, right?
When I saw Rocky beat that Russian up, I was ready. I was for real ready to go run miles. I was ready. Rocky had me. I was ready to fight anybody. I was ready to run miles after I saw Rock Ruff. First of all, killing Apollo Creed, I was sick.
Yeah.
And I was sick over killing Apollo Creed even more than I was sick when Mickey died. So when he killed Apollo Creed and he beat that Russian up, I was like, yo, come on. Anybody that want to get it, come on, you can get it. Oh my goodness.
I know we're supposed to drop off, but Mitch, where in Alaska? Because I was in Alaska. I did a tour where I did like Anchorage, Fairbanks, and another city when it was like almost 22 hours of sun. Thank God it wasn't 22 hours of night, 22 hours of sun. And it was crazy. I'll share the story for you, Mitch, while you tell us where you're from. We went out to a bar, and there was a bar where all these pilots go. And every time the pilot would ring the bell, it meant he was buying a drink for everybody in the bar. And so every time you kind of look outside, and this was like, I don't want to say pre-cell phones, but we weren't so attached to our cell phones all the time.
Yeah.
And so the bell kept ringing. We kept drinking. The sun was still out. So we had no idea what time it was. I think it was about 6 a.m. when we were like, oops, we got to go because we have an 8 o'clock presentation. And I'm telling you, we had those lights off. Like, have you ever seen Mad Men where they do the slideshows?
Mm-hmm.
Like lights off, just we're like, okay, one of us sleeps and the other one does the presentation.
Oh, yeah. I can't imagine.
Anchorage is nice, man. I'm telling you, it's people sleep in people sleeping on how nice it is in Alaska. But I do watch Star Wars. I bet you, Travis, I'm the only one though.
I've
Travis,
seen them all.
have you seen them all? Okay.
I've seen them. Yeah, they're good.
Hey,
I mean,
you hear that?
they're.
Vamp said I was in Top Gun Maverick. Can you tell me which character? I'll go watch it just for that.
Oh.
Yeah, me and Tom Cruise. They would never cast me in a movie with Tom Cruise. He's so short. It would look weird.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, you guys. We should probably wrap it up. Liam said he has to go to bed soon over in Canada, and both of you are on that far side as well. So yeah, but we touched on a lot of good stuff. And yeah, just a reminder, every Thursday now, we won't be Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm sure we'll do some TikTok lives and all that still though. So we'll be around. And if you haven't followed us, make sure to check out our user handles. Go follow us. You already know, Jay. But at least Fluent and I. And yeah, for now, Jay.
Take it light, but take it.
You didn't update your tag, but everybody already follows you probably.